Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our lab, the Terminator lab. This is the video number 21. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have completed our WSOS migration. We have migrated our WSOS from Windows Server 2012 R2 to Windows Server 2022 data center. This was a complete migration. All of the approved updates were migrated. All of the computer groups and server groups were migrated. All of the update categories and update classifications was migrated. All of this was done using a concept called WSOS replica. We have done this in the previous video, and then after making our migration, we have demoted the old WSOS server. Please refer to my previous video for more info. Today we have the last server that contains or that has an operating system Windows Server 2012 R2. This is the additional domain controller. If we have a look on our graph, here we can see that we have, this is the server, this is now the additional domain controller, and this is the only server that has Windows Server 2012 R2 installed on it. And then we have the primary domain controller, which is Windows Server 2022, and we have the DHCP server, WSOS server, file server, and in the future WDS or Windows Deployment Server and Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. All of this or all of these two servers have Windows Server 2022 installed on it. So we need to get rid of this server. Okay, we need all of our operating systems to be Windows Server 2022. So we will create a new machine which will be an additional domain controller. So we'll have two additional domain controllers, one that have Windows Server 2022 and the other is Windows Server 2012 R2. So after creating this virtual machine and joining it to the domain and promoting it to be an additional domain controller, we will demote this old additional domain controller with its old operating system. But we need to take care that this additional domain controller, its IP address, it is set in all of the network setting of the other servers. So this server and this server, they have this additional domain controller IP address acting as a secondary DNS. We need to take care or to make sure that the network setting or the alternative DNS on the network setting on both servers, we need to make sure that it is not the old additional domain controller. By the way, the additional domain controller is acting at the same time as a DNS server. So we need to remove the additional domain controller IP address from these two servers and then insert the new additional domain controller IP address in both network settings, because this will be the new alternative DNS. We can have a look, or let me show you all what I mean by a graph. So here we will see that this is the new additional domain controller. If we see the network setting, this is the IP address, and this is the IP address, and this is the subnet mask, this is the gateway, and this is the primary domain controller, and this is the new additional domain controller. Remember, our old additional domain controller is 192.168.1.7. So here we need to make sure that alternative DNS on the three servers should be the same, or should be the new additional domain controller. So we can see here alternative DNS, alternative DNS, alternative DNS. This is on the new additional domain controller, on the primary domain controller, on the file server, WSOS server, and DHCP server. So we can see here, if we have a look on what is written here, DHCP also we need to take care that DHCP should point to the new ADC 192.168.1.16. So the DHCP, it is distributing the old additional domain controller IP address, which is acting as the same time as a secondary DNS. So you need to remove this and give him the new secondary DNS and the new additional domain controller IP address. So the DHCP should point to the new ADC 192.168.1.16, which is the secondary DNS as well. And we need to add Windows Server 2022 updates in the WSOS. So we need to configure the WSOS to pull the Windows Server 2022 updates to push it to all of the clients or all of the servers. Anyway, we have already done, we didn't do this when we have our or we have created our primary domain controller and our file server. So we forgot this. We need to uh, inform the WSOS to pull out or pull from the Microsoft website the Windows Server 2022 updates. So this should be done on the WSOS. And as we can see here, if we see this setting, all domain controllers should use 192.168.1.8 as the PDC or the primary domain controller, and it should use it as the primary DNS, and 192.168.16 as the additional domain controller and the alternative DNS. So these two IP addresses should be set on the network adapter setting for the three servers. Okay, so we can demote the old ADC safely, and do not forget to raise the forest level and domain function level after all Windows 2012 R2 are removed from the domain. So we need after that to raise the Active Directory domain functional level, okay, to be Windows Server 2022. So this implies that we will have only domain controllers with operating system Windows Server 2022. This is the domain functional level. And then we need to raise the forest functional level to only contain domain controllers that has Windows Server 2022 installed on it. So we need to raise both forest functional level and domain functional level, and we need first to raise the domain functional level, and then we can raise the forest function level. So we begin with the domain functional level, and then we can use or we can raise the forest functional level. So we can see here this is very simple. We need to do, or what we will do today, we need to go and create a new virtual machine. This will be or have Windows Server 2022 installed on it, data center, and then we will promote the server to be an additional domain controller. So this is something we need to do. We need to join it to the domain and promote it to be an additional domain controller. And then after that, after doing this, we need to go and change the network adapter setting for all of the three servers, and then we can demote the old additional domain controller. So after that, we can demote this server safely without any problem. So today we will create a virtual machine and begin the process of promoting this virtual machine to be an additional domain controller. As we all know that we have automated, or we can automate the process of the creation of the virtual machine using the Packer HashiCorp. We have done this through the lab. We have automated the creation of this virtual machine, and we have automated the creation of this virtual machine. So we'll do the same for this one, and we will not repeat the whole process because you all know it. If you don't know it, please refer to my previous videos, anyone concerning creating a virtual machine. You can, for example, refer to the first video in the series. Okay, this I have started creating virtual machines, so you can see the process. Okay, because I will not repeat myself anyway. So we need to go now and begin the process of the creation of the virtual machine. So you can see here, okay, we will need to open a PowerShell command prompt, run it as an administrator, and then we need to run the Packer HashiCorp exe file. Okay, just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. As we can see here, now we will open a PowerShell prompt, and then we need to go to the folder that contains the Packer HashiCorp exe file and run it. And after running it, it will go and execute a JSON file. This JSON file contains the virtual machine setting and other setting for the virtual machine, and then the process of the creation of the virtual machine will continue. So let's begin it. So we have in Packer 8 folder, we have a subfolder called Packer Win 2022 main, Packer 9. Okay, so this is the folder that contains the Packer HashiCorp exe file, and then we will make a dir to list all of the files, and then we will run this JSON file. Okay, this is the command. We run Packer HashiCorp the virtual box section uh, from this JSON file. Okay, so after that it will begin creating the virtual machine. We have done this repeatedly over the time, so we have this done a lot of times. Okay, so we will see now that if you press enter, now it will begin verifying the ISO file or the Windows ISO file that will be inserted in the virtual machine. It should verify that it is a original ISO file from Microsoft. We can see here that it's trying to locate the Windows ISO file. Then it will begin checking up the checksum on this ISO file, and then it will begin after that creating the virtual machine. Okay, so I will just only uh, go quickly through this process. So after that it will take some time. Okay, now we will see that it will begin creating the virtual machine, and after 1 hour, okay, let's go further. Let me go further there. Okay, let me show you all after that. Okay, 1 minute. So now the process is finished, and now our virtual machine is created and it is exported. Now we need to open the virtual box and then import the virtual machine. So we have done this before, as I said before. Now our virtual machine, it is already finished. We need to import it and then begin uh, playing with the setting of this virtual machine. It contains Windows Server 2022 data center. We need to give it an IP address. We need to promote it or join it to the domain, and then promote it to be an additional domain controller. Here we can see that this is the location or the output folder that contains the exported virtual box virtual machine. So we can see here this is already done. Okay, so we tell him finish. It is importing the virtual machine. So now it is already imported. We need to do a couple of things. We need to raise the video memory for this virtual machine so we can be able to make it as full screen, and add a couple of things. First of all, we need to have the shared clipboard option opened and the drag and drop option opened or bidirectional between the host and the guest. And then we need to increase the display memory uh, to be 18 megabytes so we can make this virtual machine in full screen. And the graphics controller should be Super Vega. Actually, if there is problems, you can make it as normal Vega. And then we will add a secondary hard disk that will act as storage. Okay, we can use it as a storage or data storage for the new additional domain controller. Okay, so now we have uh, two hard disks. One is 300 gigabyte and the other is 50. And now we have two network adapters, or we're having one network adapter attached to the network or our lab network, and then the other one is attached to the same lab network, which is 192.168.1.0. This is the network. We have two network adapters. We have said this before, to make teaming between them, okay, for redundancy. So we have done this many times. So now we have done all of this. We need to add share folders. So these are the folders shared between the host or my host and my guest. So if I have some scripts to run it, I can run it from this shared folder between the host and this virtual machine. These are three folders. They be auto-mounted when I log into the Windows. Okay. So this we have done this many times. We have done it actually 4 times when we were creating the 4 virtual machines, which is our lab scenario. Okay, the additional domain controller, the primary domain controller, the file server. Okay, so all of this we have done it before. Now these are 3 shared folders. Auto mount and then okay, and then everything is done. Okay, and then we can power on the primary domain controller, the old additional domain controller, we need to stop, or I will not open the file server, because I have only on my host I have only 4 processor cores, so I can run 3 virtual machines at a time. I cannot run 4. I can only run 3 virtual machines at a time, plus my host operating system. Okay, so, or plus my host. So we need to run only 3 virtual machines. So we will run them, and then we will demote the old additional domain controller after successfully adding the new additional domain controller and change the setting and everything. And then after demoting it, we can open our file server. Okay, so we will open the additional domain controller. So as you can see here, this is the primary domain controller, and then this is the old additional domain controller. This is the only server that has an operating system Windows Server 2012 R2. So we can see here, this is the operating system. Okay, and then this is our new virtual machine. We need to do the same process that we have done over and over. We need to make network teaming between the 2 network cards. We need to set IP address on the server, IP address, a gateway, and DNS, and then promote it to be an additional domain controller. Okay, so we need to do this. So here you go. Still the display, it is not correct, or it is not in the correct resolution, because still we didn't adjust the display setting. This should be done automatically or through an option anyway, so I will show you all what I mean by that. We need to go to the view and tell him to adjust the guest resolution. Okay, we'll just wait for a couple of minutes. So this will take some time. Okay, so now we can see we need first to activate the secondary hard disk and partition it as one partition and format it. Okay, and give it a drive letter. Okay, so this should be done from the computer, from the disk management console. Okay, we can open or right click this PC and manage, or we can right click the Windows icon and tell him disk management. And you have, this is a routine process. We have done it a lot of times in the previous virtual machines. Okay, so we can go further. Okay, again, first of all, we need to auto resize, as we see here. If we go further, if you go again, sorry, we can tell him auto resize. Just a moment. So again, if we open the view and tell him auto adjust here, first of all, this is the secondary hard disk. Okay, and then it is already initialized, and then we are partitioning it and tell him next. Okay, this will take an E drive letter, because currently D, it is allocated to the CD-ROM. Now we will name this partition as data. Okay, preform quick format as an NTFS. Okay, so now we have it as an E drive. We need to go and take the D drive letter, okay, and put it or give it to the new created partition. Okay, so we'll give the DVD-ROM F letter, and then we can go and put or assign the D drive letter to this partition. You should be careful. The partition should not contain any data or any software installed on it. Okay, so this will do a lot of problems. So now we give it the D partition. or the D letter. So now we can return back and give the DVD-ROM E. I need it to be alphabetically in order. Okay, so we have C, D, E. Okay, so now we can adjust the resolution of the guest auto resize guest display. So now we can see it is already adjusted. And now we can begin our process or preparing this virtual machine. So we need to give it an IP address. We need to change the name to be sknhqdc0222. So we need to do this. So there is a lot of things to do. First of all, we need to make team between the two network cards. This is the first step. And the second step is to use use a part of David Rodriguez's script or the first part actually of David Rodriguez's script to set IP address for this virtual machine and give it a name and give it a lot of things. Actually, we have done this before and we have seen David Rodriguez's script. This is a very good script that does a lot of things actually. So now this is the network teaming PowerShell script. We have done this a lot of times, so it will team the two network cards. Sorry guys, I'm having flu, so I'm a little bit not in my normal status. Okay, so now we are opening the PowerShell ISE program. So now here is the script. We have Ethernet and Ethernet 2, the two network cards. They should be teamed, and we will accept the default setting for this teaming. Okay, switch independent, load balancing algorithm, all of this should accept it. And then it will take about 20 seconds for the teaming to be done. It will be first the two cards will be degraded or not working, and after 40 seconds they will be up and running. So still the two cards are not working, they are degraded. After 20 seconds it will be up and running. There is a command that will show some statistics concerning the two teamed network cards, the rate of receiving and sending for the two combined network cards. You can see it is 2 GB for receiving and 2 GB for sending or transmitting. Okay, and now if we see the last displayed setting or displayed statistics, we will see that the two network cards are up and running. So now we are ready to set the IP address for this virtual machine and name it or rename it and do a couple of things. So this will be done using David Rodriguez's script. Just a moment guys. So let's continue guys. Here we will run the script of David Rodriguez. So this will take some time, you can do this. So here we will change the variables. Here this is the IP address of the server, and this is the primary DNS, which is the primary domain controller, and this is the name of the machine. Okay, and we will enable RDP. This is normal thing we have seen in David Rodriguez's script, and disable IE enhanced security setting. So we will use the first part of David Rodriguez's script to set IP address for this machine, rename this machine enable RDP, disable IE enhancement security setting. Okay, first of all, we need to make sure that we are setting the IP address on the correct network adapter. Okay, so we need to set it on the two combined network adapters. So we will get net adapter. This will get all of the network adapters on our machine. We need to set the IP address on the combined two network teamed cards. Okay, so let's wait and see. So here we can see this is the first network card, the second network card, and this is the combined two network cards. So we need to set this on the two combined network cards, and this is given a number of 11. Okay, so we are here stating that this is 11. You need to choose the network adapter with the index or the number of the 11 to set the IP address on. We have done this before. Okay, so we need to make sure that you are setting the IP address on the correct network adapter. So this is correct. Now we need to run the script, but before that we'll take a snapshot. Okay, before I need to be careful. Okay, just if this process is not successful, we can return in our snapshot. So this is before ADC 2022 installation or setup. So we have this machine only uh, as it is updated. It is they have two network cards and they are teamed. So this is the only thing we have on this machine. It is completely updated, Windows Update I mean, and it has two network card teamed, and we don't have anything else set up on this machine. Okay, so now we are taking a snapshot and then we'll begin the process of setting the IP address on this machine. Okay, and renaming it, of course, and a lot of things we have stated before. So now we can take a snapshot from the other two virtual machines. Just to, I need to be consistent on all of the virtual machines, so I'm taking a snapshot at the same time on all of my virtual machines. Okay, so this will take some time, and then we can begin the process of setting up the IP address on this machine. So this will take some time. So the primary domain controller, this is the last virtual machine we need to take a snapshot from. Okay, and then we are ready to go. Okay, now we can go and run the script. And then press run script. Now it is creating the log file, okay, for the script, and then it will begin basic server configuration, setting the IP address. Now we can see we are accessing the internet because we have our primary DNS set, which is our additional it's our primary domain controller at the same time. So it is our primary DNS, it is at the same time acting as our primary domain controller. So we can see this is the IP address set successfully. Okay, the gateway and the DNS server. And now we need to change the name of the server and the other setting, enable RDP and disable IE enhanced security setting. So this will take some time. Okay. And then after that a restart will be done. Okay, so RDP successfully enabled. i.e. enhanced security configuration disable for admin and user, and then the name of the machine is set to sknhqdc0222, and then a computer reboot is in process. Okay, so this will take some time. Now after that, or after doing that, we need to promote this server to be an additional domain controller. Okay, so we need to do that. So it is rebooting now. So this will take some time. It is rebooting. Okay, it is restarting. Okay, so now it is restarted. Now we can log in and complete our process. So you log in. Still, this machine, it didn't join the domain, so we will log in with the local administrator account. Okay, so this should be Packer. And then we will open our server manager to install the Active Directory domain services, and then promote the server to be an additional domain controller. So these are the steps. We need to open the server manager. Before that, we need to go to the network connection setting. Why? Because we need to what we need to do, we need to set the alternative DNS to be the IP address of this server, because it will not be promoted as an additional domain controller unless the alternative DNS is done. Okay, this should be, or this should be set. Okay, because by default this will be the secondary DNS. So what we will do now, we need to go and change the adapter option setting. Okay, okay, so let's continue. Now we will open the network connection setting, and we will open the server manager as well. Okay, just a moment. So now we'll open the server manager, and then we need to install Active Directory domain services. Okay, now this is the service of Windows Edge update services. Okay, and then the local server need to check the setting. Okay, you will see that the remote desktop is enabled. Okay, and the network teaming is done, and the IP address is set. So you need to take care. You need to set the alternative DNS, or go to the network connection setting on this server and set the IP address. Before that, let me show you guys what I mean here. If you go there, let me show you something here. Before doing this, we can need to go to the network adapter setting of the server. Before going to the server manager, we need to go to the network adapter setting again. So we go there. Sorry guys, we go to the network adapter setting. Okay, go there. Okay, and open the network team, and then properties. Okay, and here we need to set the alternative DNS to be the IP address of this server before going to the server manager and promoting this server to be an additional domain controller. This is a very, very critical step. Okay, so I need to go there and set the alternative DNS to be the IP address of this server. Okay, because I think the process of the promoting this server to be additional domain controller will fail if we didn't do this step. Anyway, so now we have everything up and running. We need to go to the server manager. We have done this before. Okay, so we go to the server manager again. Okay, open the server manager and then open roles and features. Okay, this is the service of the Edge browser. So now, just repeating myself, this is the local server setting. Okay, we have the remote desktop should be enabled. Okay, now the remote desktop is enabled. The name of the machine is set. Now we tell him add roles and features, and then next, next, next. Then we need to add Active Directory domain services. Okay, and then wait for a couple of seconds until the domain or Active Directory domain services is installed on the console, okay, of the Active Directory domain services. And then after that we should promote this server to be the additional, or to be an additional domain controller. So this will take some time. Okay, now promote this server to be a domain controller. Okay, and this should be a domain controller in an existing domain, and we need to state the domain skynet.internal and provide a username to, or have rights to join this server to the domain and to promote it to be an additional domain controller. This is this is done by domain admin or by my domain admin account. Okay, so we need here to state the domain, which is skynet.internal, and then choose a user to join this server to the domain. It will take some time. Okay, so need to supply the credentials. Okay, this is skynet / krauf. This is domain admin account, and then put the password. Okay, and then next. And then the normal process of promoting the server. Okay, this is a normal process of promoting a domain controller. This is, we will act as domain name server, and this is a global catalog, and we need to supply the Active Directory service restore mode password. This also very critical and should be revised and changed every year. Okay, there is a command to do this. Okay, by the way, this is one of the security steps that every system administrator should focus on. Okay, this is a very critical password and it is not changed regularly. Okay, so you need to change it on a regular basis manually. Okay, so we need to put the password and then next. Now next. Okay, and then it will replicate from any domain controller. And then it will take some time. Okay, so we can do this. Now let's begin checking the prerequisites for or validating that this server uh, can be promoted to be a domain controller, okay, or additional domain controller. So the prerequisites check passed successfully. So now we can begin the installation. Install, a normal process. So you can pause the video, and now we have restarted, or the machine is restarted. Now we will see that the server has joined the domain and it is now acting as an additional domain controller. So our additional domain controller is up and running. This is our welcome screen. Now we need to go, and one step, we need to make sure to disable the Windows firewall on this server. This is one of the things we do it regularly on the domain controllers on our servers, because the Windows firewall does a lot of blocking, and it disrupt, or it doesn't make the domain controller function well, because it should be always need to always to add rules to bypass some ports and something like this. If you have this, okay, go ahead and do it, but most of the time we disable the Windows firewall on this server, and uh, of course taking the precautions to protect the server. For example, we don't have internet access on the servers, and we have a hardware firewall. So this is one of the things we do. Okay, so now you can see that our Active Directory login script is running in the background, and our desktop background it is appearing. This is the idle log of program. Okay, and we will copy the idle log of program. This is the folder contains a program that logs off the machine after 15 minutes. The script tries to run this program, but it didn't find the folder itself. So I have the folder with the program on one of my servers. I will copy it and put it on this C partition of this server. Now I need to open the control panel to change some setting on this machine. I need to disable the firewall. This is the first thing to do. And then I'm opening the C partition for my primary domain controller and copying the idle log of folder that contains the idle log of program. You can open the run and tell him control panel, and then it will open the control panel. We can see this is the idle log of folder on my primary domain controller in the C partition. Okay, and then I will copy it to my C partition and paste it. Now this error during the Active Directory login script initialized or running, it will not appear again, because we have our idle log of folder existing and the program is already in it, in the folder. Okay, so now we need to disable the firewall. So we can go to the control panel and disable the firewall. So here we can go and see the Windows Defender firewall, and then we can begin our process of changing the network setting for all of the servers and change the alternative DNS of them to reflect the new DNS or secondary DNS server and the new additional domain controller IP address. So now we have turned off the Windows Defender firewall. Now we need to go and change the setting of the network setting for the remaining of the servers. We have two servers, or I have three servers actually. Two of them we will change it, and then we will change this on the file server as well. But now we need to go and change the alternative DNS on our old additional domain controller to take it or to work with the new ADC or the new secondary DNS. So now we will log in with my domain admin account. This will take some time, so we can pass this really quickly. We log in, okay, and then we go to the network setting for this server and change the alternative DNS not to point to itself but to point to the new additional domain controller and the new additional DNS or alternative DNS. Okay, so this is very simple, and we'll do this the same on the primary domain controller. Okay, so now control, this is, we need to open network connections. Okay, I think what I'm doing here I am yes, here I'm running another part of David Rodriguez' script, the section concerning the DNS scavenging setting. Okay, we can put it for 7 days, okay, to delete the DNS records after 7 days. Okay, so now we go to the properties of the teamed network connection on our old ADC, and then we go to the TCP IP. Okay, TCP IP version 4. Okay, here we go again, just a moment. So just a moment. Okay, here we go to, need to go TCP IP version 4. Okay, this is not correct. Okay, anyway, so we'll do that, and then we need to go to the DNS server also to delete or to see the records, okay, for the new ADC. Okay, now we are changing the alternative DNS to point to the new one, okay, 16, so it will not point to itself. Okay, and then we need to see something here. We go to the domain controllers here, the OU, to see if our this is, by the way, this is the old primary domain controller. After demoting it, okay, it is now changed, or it is moved from the domain controllers OU to the computers OU. We need to remove it and remove the record for it in the DNS server, okay, because there is a record for this server on the DNS, so we need to remove it completely and remove the DNS record. And you can simply remove it and remove the record, or you can just unjoin it from the domain. So you can unjoin it from the domain, okay, after demoting it, you can remove it from the domain, okay, to be in a worker group, okay, and then you can remove it and remove the record DNS. Anyway, so I need to remove this old object. It's not now in the domain, and we need to remove the record of DNS of it. Okay, so we need to delete it. Okay, so this is the old PDC. Okay, and now we need to go to the DNS and remove the record for it, the forward DNS record and the reverse DNS record. We need to take care of this. Okay, so this is here, we need to remove this one. Okay, it's not there anymore. Okay, so we remove it. Okay, and now we have everything working perfect. We need to change the network setting on the PDC, on the new PDC, change its alternative DNS. Anyway, we need to go and run the part of David Rodriguez's script to concerning DNS scavenging. So we can go further here. Here is the line. Okay, this is, tell him to delete DNS records, okay, after 7 days. Okay, So this is we have run this script. So now we have our DNS scavenging setting set. Now we can go and what we need to do now, we can go to the primary domain controller and change its alternative DNS setting. Okay, so it's shutting it down for a reason. I think we can do further. Okay, anyway, so now I have restarted the server for some reason, and now we are logging into the primary domain controller. Okay, we can go there, and this is a hang process. Okay, so now we change the network adapter setting for this server. Okay, I think we run the control panel here. I think control panel, yes, that's it. So now we will change the network connection setting. Okay, and change the alternative DNS to point to the new secondary DNS and the new additional domain controller. So this is version 4, properties 16. Now after that we can remove the old PDC safely. Okay, we can go and demote it, and then after that we can do a cleanup process or some process to make the process complete in a professional way. We need to change the DHCP scope setting. We need to adjust the WSOS update categories, okay, to get Windows Server 2022 updates. Anyway, so we can go further. Let's go there. Okay, so now everything here is complete. Go to the computers and go to the DNS. Okay, here I am checking the DNS on the primary domain controller to see if the old PDC is still there. It is removed from computers and the record is also removed. Okay, so it is already replicated to all of the DNS servers in the domain. Okay, so now we need to not to shut down. I think this is not the process here. We will shut down and then open the two servers again. Okay, so here we will, what we will do now, here we will take a snapshot, okay, before demoting. So I have restarted the servers. So what I'm doing here, I have restarted the servers and take a snapshot, okay, before demoting. So we have all of the servers shut down and restarted, and then we are taking a snapshot before demoting the old ADC. Okay, so now we will take this snapshot here and snapshot here and snapshot there. Okay, this is very simple. Okay, so now the network setting for all of the servers is completely set. Okay, and then we can go with the demote process. But remember, we have still our file server network connection setting is not changed because we cannot run 4 virtual machines at a time. We can run only 3. We will change the network setting for this server later. Okay, so now we will log in and then demote or tell him to remove the feature. So we can log in and continue because this will take some time. Now we can open the server manager and then choose to demote the server. Okay, open the server manager, and you go again. So we'll tell him to again. Now we tell him to manage, okay, and remove. Okay, remove roles and features. Next, next. So you can see there is something here. Uh, you remove these services only, but still the DNS, it is there. So if it will remove this, it will remove this automatically, or we should uncheck both. Anyway, I think when I have seen a video for demoting a domain controller, I didn't, or they didn't uncheck DNS server. Anyway, you can uncheck it. Okay, so if you are sure, you can uncheck it or uncheck both. Okay, anyway, so now we will remove the feature. Okay, so this will take some time. You can go further. So now it will ask you to again, sorry guys, again tell him to demote the primary domain controller. Just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. Now we are demoting the server, and then we need to supply the credentials to do this process. And the normal demoting process, we have done this before on the old PDC. And then it's saying here that it is currently hosting the DNS and the global catalog. So these two will not work if you remove the Active Directory domain services. So I think we need to remove this, or we uncheck DNS server setting. Anyway, so we'll tell him to proceed with the removal. And then this is the new local admin password. Should provide it. And then after demoting this server, we need to go to the DNS servers, okay, and see if it is completely removed from the DNS records. Okay, so this should be done after demoting this server. Okay, so this should be done. So we'll demote the server and then make a restart. Okay, this will take some time. Okay, and then you need to restart the server. So successfully demoted the Active Directory domain controller. Need to restart the server. So I think we can run this quickly. Okay. So now we can go and check the DNS server on the new ADC and then the PDC, or the current PDC, to see if they have removed, or the DNS records have removed the old ADC DNS records. So if you go there and put the password, okay, if you open, we need here to make a custom console, okay, because we need to manage everything from this new ADC. So we need to make, or type run then MMC and press enter, and then we need to make a custom console to add Active Directory console, okay, Active Directory computers and users, and Active Directory trust console to raise the forest level. So we'll add Active Directory domains and trusts to raise the forest functional level, and to add the Active Directory users and computers. So this we will, from it we will raise the forest functional level, and then to add Active Directory users and computers, and then to add the DNS console, and then the event viewer, okay, the local event viewer, and the group policy management console. So these are the normal process. So we can manage this server, because the old PDC will be now not working. It will be removed from the network. Okay, so now you can see that the local event viewer is added, the group policy management console. Okay, so now we have everything up and running. Now we need to check the DNS records to see if the old old ADC is removed. So you can open the DNS. First, if you open the Active Directory and see the domain controllers OU, it will not, you will find only two, okay? The new PDC and the new ADC, okay? The old ADC will be in the computer's OU, okay? So this is after demoting it. So we need to go and check also the DNS records to see if it has already removed. If you open the forward lookup zone, if you open we need to see if the naming server, it has removed the old ADC as a naming server. So we can see this is the old ADC. We will, after shutting it down, we remove the DNS record and remove the computer object. Here we can see that the both naming server are the new ADC and the new PDC. Okay, so this is perfect. We have our naming server, now the new PDC and the new ADC. So we have both of them. Okay, so we can shut down the old ADC and remove it from the computer OU and remove the DNS record. Okay, so this is good. We can save the console. On the desktop. Now what we need to do, we need to close the old ADC. Okay, we don't need it anymore. Okay, and open our file server and change the network setting for it. Okay, and change the DHCP scope setting and the WSOS update categories. So, okay, we need to do this. Okay, so we have already closed it completely. We will open the file server. Now can go and do a couple of operations. We need to log in. I think we can pass this real quickly. There is a lot of things. This is the domain admin account, so we can log in. Okay, and then go further. Okay, so now we can open the DHCP console and change the DNS scope or the DNS servers that are distributed to the clients. Okay, this should be done. If you can open there. Okay. Then this is the DHCP console. We have done this. If you can go further, how we can do the DHCP console. We will open it from the start, then open the DHCP. Okay, so we'll open start and then the DHCP console. Administrative tools, and then we will open the DHCP and then change the scope or the DHCP scope setting or server scope setting to reflect the new secondary DNS and remove the old secondary DNS. So we'll open this, okay, and then open that, and then open IP version 4. Okay, and then we open the server options. Okay, scope options. Okay, here is the DNS servers. We will remove the old DNS server. Okay, the old ADC. Okay, and then we'll add the new one, which is 16. Add. And then let me show you all something here. After doing this, our graph or our network should be like this. Okay, we have the file server, the new PDC, the new ADC. So this is our network after removing after removing the old ADC or after removing all of the servers that has Windows Server 2012 R2 installed on it. This is the new network diagram. Okay, so let's continue. Now we need to go and open the WSOS and change the scope, or not the scope, the update categories. We need to add the Windows Server 2022. First, we are checking if the WSOS services is up and running. We need to make sure that the Windows internal database is running. This is for the WSOS, and the WSOS server service is running. If both services or one of them is not running, the WSOS console, or you will not be able to open and manage the WSOS. Okay, so now we will open the WSOS console. Okay, this is the one, Windows Update Services. Okay, this is the Windows Update Services. I think here I'm checking the DNS records, maybe. Can go further. Okay, again. Okay, here I'm just checking the DNS to see if the records are replicated correctly, and to see, here I will remove, okay, we will remove the old ADC. Okay, we will remove it, okay, from the computer's OU, and then we will remove the record, or the DNS record. Okay, and then it will be replicated to the other DNS servers. So if you open Skynet, you can remove the record, but make sure also to remove the reverse lookup, or to remove the reverse DNS record. Okay, I think it should be deleted automatically, but sometimes this is not done. Here we need to not to raise the forest functional level. We need first to raise the domain functional level. Okay, this is the first thing. The domain functional level should be raised, and then the forest functional level should be raised. So here we can see from domains and trusts, you can raise the forest functional level. Okay, this is done. This can be done regularly, but you can raise the domain functional level from Skynet. Here, right click and then raise domain functional level. You can do this from here. Okay, so here we can see there is something here. It is 2012 R2, so we need to raise it to 2016. Anyway, this will not be done first. We need first to change the domain functional level. Okay, so it is 2016. Okay, so this should not be done first. The domain functional level should be done first. Okay, so it is raised, and then we can right click and tell him to raise domain functional level. We will see here that it is already raised. I don't know how it is raised, because maybe when we installed the ADC it is already raised. Okay, or the new PDC, it is already raised. Okay, anyway, so we need to make sure that the current domain functional level is 2016 and the forest function level is 2016. Okay, so now this is a correct thing to do. Okay, so we can connect here. Okay, anyway, we have done this already. Okay, so, and we have deleted the DNS record. Now we can go and open the WSOS. Okay, and what we will do here, we will open the WSOS, and let's see here. If you open the WSOS and open, let me show you all here. Open WSOS and then products, and if you can see here, just a moment. If you open like this, you need to open products and categories and select Windows Server 2022. Okay, here it is not listed Windows Server 2022. It is listed in a different thing here. It is listed Windows Server 21H1. Okay, I will show you all what I mean. This is products. Okay, we need to check Windows here. I'm trying to check, just a moment here. I tried to check to see if there is Windows Server 2022, but I didn't find any. So there is no something here listed Windows Server 2022. So I opened the run and tell him to see the Windows version. Let's see if I can get anything. So let me show you all what I mean here. Start and then run and type WinVer. You will see here something. So you will find in the WSOS a list called Microsoft Windows Server version 21H2. Okay, you will not find something called Windows Server 2022. You will find this name, Microsoft Windows Server version 21H2. Okay, so this is the new name, or this is the name for Windows Server 2022. You will not find it with this name. You will find it in WSOS with this name, Microsoft Windows Server version 21H2. Let's see that. Okay, let's go and see that. If you go there, let me show you all. Let's go further. Again, sorry guys, let me show you the part concerning the Windows Server. If you go further, let me show you all where is the name. If you go down, okay, complete. Go further. Okay, here you go. Again, let's continue. Okay, just a moment. Now we can continue. This is I'm asking for Windows Admin Center updates, but let me show you all the Windows server or what we choose. Okay, so here you go. Okay, we will choose Microsoft Server Operating System 21H2. This is as if you are telling him I need to get updates for Microsoft Server 2022. Okay, we will use this one. Okay, so we will do that and apply and okay, and then classifications we will stay with the classifications, and then we need to go to the network setting for this server. Okay, we go further here and close this one. Okay, after demote. Okay, we do this after demote of the server, but we need to change the network setting, so we'll do that and then change the network setting. So we'll go to right click and then setting and change the alternative DNS to point to the new ADC. So we'll go to setting, the network adapter, so you can go there and okay, then change adapter setting. So change adapter setting. Now we go to the team and then properties. Okay, it will take some time. Okay, so TCP IP version 4 and then properties, and then we need to change this one, okay, to 16. And then okay, and then by that I think we have finished, or we have completed our task by removing the old ADC. So we have now all of our network or our domain. We have Windows Server 2022 data center is the dominant operating system. Okay, so I think maybe the video is finished. I think here I'm taking a snapshot, okay, on all of them after ADC demote. So I'll take a snapshot on all of the 3 servers. So we continue there, and we will take a snapshot with the same name on all of the servers, okay, demote, and we will do the same on the, so we're taking on the PDC, the new ADC, and the new file server. We will take a snapshot and then we will close all of the servers, okay, and that concludes for our video. The upcoming video will begin working on creating Windows deployment server and installing Microsoft deployment toolkit on it. Hope this video is informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.